Happy New Year's, guys. It's January 1st, 2024, and you know what that means. More tier changes for the Smogon singles competitive scene, and I'm here to break it down. Before we get started, many of you guys watching are not subscribed, so if you guys enjoy, be sure to subscribe for more competitive Pokemon content just like this. Thank you, and let's get started. First, let's talk about some of the most notable tier shifts. Terrakion, a once iconic OU staple, now found itself within the PU tier, one of Smogon's lowest tiers for singles play. Although Terrakion has some quite notable power for the OU tier, its future paradox form of Iron Boulder disgustingly does his job way better as a more faster, threatening boost energy offensive Pokemon. Iron Boulder has a better rock type coverage and Mighty Cleave, as well in addition can be the faster Pokemon on the field with its booster energy. 7 weaknesses are rough, but because of its offensive potency and terastallization, it can work around that pretty quickly. Because of Terrakion's slow speed, the power creep has gotten the best of it. There's no real reason to use an offensive rock type Pokemon when Iron Boulder exists, and there are way better fighting types within the tier at this moment. Its niches are taken up by other better Pokemon, and thus Terrakion is having a tough time. Justified is a cool ability though, but it's not enough to hold this thing together. It's a bit slower, and yeah, power creep is just too much in the OU tier for this thing. Truth be told, I don't know how long though it will be staying in PU because it's like Terrakion, but nevertheless, it's still a fall from grace for this Pokemon. The addition of Triple Axle has given new meaning to powerful threats of Weavile and Meowscarada. In Weavile's case, it's back to its old shenanigans with what it did in Generation 8, and with no Chi and Pow, essentially Mega Weavile within the tier, it has made way for Weavile to carve out its own niche. While Ice Spinner was a nice addition for this Pokemon initially, Triple Axle allows for its power to grow with each and every hit, which is what makes it much more of a convincing and threatening pick as an offensive Ice-type move. Ground-type Pokemon like Lando and Gliscor are now really threatened by its presence, and Ice as an overall type this generation has been great offensively within the tier, so it's no wonder that Weavile in and of itself was able to follow the specific trend once it got a Triple Axle. Weavile also has significant Dark-type coverage and knockoff for the popular Goldango, or for general switch-outs, which makes it much more terrifying when you consider it has pretty remarkable offensive stats in with its attack and speed. It also has low kick for those King Gambit sets that are around, so it's threatening in all cylinders. This entire generation Weavile's been just missing strong stab moves to take advantage of this power grab meta, and now that it has Triple Axle back, it's back to its old ways. With the addition of Triple Axle from Meowscarada now, it can safely go around other grass type Pokemon such as Rillaboom in the tier, or other flying type Pokemon such as Zapdos. It has all the coverage it needs now with Flower Trick, Knockoff, Triple Axle, U-Turn, and of course Spikes and Toxic Spikes, etc. for those hazard lead option sets. Its offensive move pool is fast and covers essentially all its notable weaknesses. Meowscarada prior had tough time with things like Amoonguss, Corviknight, Zapdos, etc. regulating its offensive coverage, especially with Zapdos, who was a literal wall to whatever Meowscarada wanted to do offensively speaking. Triple Axle now provides a safe way to deal with it, not to mention it's a move that does increasing damage over time like I mentioned before with Weavile, so Zapdos cannot confidently switch into against it. And while I know Protein is nerfed, Meowscarada can get that boost beyond Triple Axle if it wanted to, so it makes itself more of a difficult presence to deal with. Its speed is up there with the best, and its power has been pretty strong too, thus making it very difficult to overcome quite easily within the OU tier. Both Sun and Rain has seen significant buffs with the new Paradox additions as well as Archaludon. Thus, it isn't super shocking to see both Torkoal and Pelipper rise to OU with these newfound advancements in the metagame. Archaludon with its Electroshock signature move and solid typing has once again warranted Rain teams to be effective with this new defensive chess piece on its side. Both Paradox forms as well are up in the top 10 for usage, with Dragon Dance Gouging Fire being a main staple, and Calm Mind, AV or Booster Energy Raging Bolt being an incredible wall breaker. And with the addition of Roaring Moon as well, probably the most broken Paradox Pokemon in the tier at this moment, the Sun archetype has been seeing a huge uptick in usage lately. Now in terms of drops, there are a lot of drops that happen into the UU tier, but I will cover certain ones that I feel are pretty worthwhile to mention. This tier, by the way, looks like it'll be insane for the next month. The first one has to be the fall of Hydrapple. This was expected, as I hate to admit it, and it has to be largely because of its poorest typing. Kyurem and Darkrai are both popular Pokemon that scared out pretty easily with Ice-type coverage, and with other Pokemon like Enamorus with Fairy-type coverage as well with the Stellar typing contrary, it made it very difficult to fit around on teams, knowing its problematic weaknesses could derail your strategy. It has good stats and good ability, but that's waiting to be seen with new threats like Salamence to face in the UU tier, as well as old faces that has to face down the OU tier with a bunch of other drops. Blaziken as well for the second straight generation has dropped down from the OU tier, but this doesn't come as much of a shock. Although it tried to revive its power through the power of Grassy Seed Rillaboom strat, it still was considerably pretty fail, and its once powerful offenses isn't on par to the Power Crab Generation 9. 120 in both offenses also leaves it to be pretty underwhelming defensively, thus it isn't that hard to take down with priorities or even the advent of hazards, which gives it trouble since it's part fire type to those rocks. Usually you would want to set up at least one Swords Dance with Blaziken and then try to work your way through as it needs additional power to be useful. However, that can be proven difficult with this lack of defensive viability. Speed Boost Blaziken isn't as threatening as it once was back in the day, with more hazards around and high powered offenses that are on the same level as his once powerful Uber Mon. Zapdos has also dropped down to the UU tier, partially because of Pokemon like Weavile, Meowscarada, and the big bad Iron Boulder being huge counter threats to its typing. In UU, Zapdos won't have that big of a problem with not that many significant rock or ice type coverage to worry about, so expect to be a mainstay threat in the UU because of this. Both Lati twins have fallen down to UU, and although they have received significant buffs in Gen 9 with Mist Ball and Luster Purge, it isn't enough to really save them. Latios is a fast dragon and psychic type Pokemon, but its offenses are kind of taken over by the Power Crab meta. In addition, Dark and Ghost Pokemon like Gambit and Goldengo, both of which are super popular, serve to be major threats to its superiority. Tinglu as well was a great wall to both of them as it could whirlwind out their setups and was tanky enough to take a couple of hits. For an offensive dragon and psychic type Pokemon as well, there were better dragon types in Kyurem, Roaring Moon, Gouging Fire, Raging Bolt, Archaludon, etc. So fitting another dragon type Pokemon seems a bit awkward when the tier, with its notable counterplays seeming indicative when strategizing for your own team. The last significant drop in my opinion has to be the drop of Iron Moth, but this was to be expected. Prior to the Indigo Disc DLC, both Iron Moth and Ribombee, to which now are both on UU, used to love the Sticky Web and Boost Energy combination, which allowed for Iron Moth to take advantage of his powerful offenses in combination with the Sticky Web hazard, which slowed down the opponent's side. Well, now it isn't as effective as it once was. 1. Sticky Web Ribombee isn't as effective with Contrary Superior running around, which doesn't mind the Sticky Webs. Iron Moth as well is clearly outclassed by Volcarona, and this was the case prior to Volcarona's Uber's ban, as Volcarona had a better ability and the move Quiver Dance, which allows it to boost its offense, defense, and speed, something Iron Moth does not have as its luxury. Although it is the future version, it is the worst version of the present day Volcarona because of these two significant things. Speaking of paradox forms, 3 of the new 4 paradox forms are in the top 10 for usage. I've made mention of the other 2 before, and even Iron Boulder to a degree, but Iron Boulder is number 4, almost cutting to top 3. Although 7 weaknesses are a pain, its incredible stats, booster energy, and amazing signature move makes it scary to face on the surface value. Swords Dance sets alongside with Sub has been a devastating combo, and it can easily tear out to forego its 7 weaknesses mid to late game to pick up the win quite easily. 7 weaknesses is a lot, but if it tears and gets rid of it, its defensive stats actually help it stand in battle more times than not. I have a video on Iron Boulder which goes into more depth anyway, so go check that out if you want a more thorough breakdown. Landorus tier also survives another tier change update, with it still residing within the OU tier. Although Gliscor is back, Landorus tier has still seen significant play as it still has things to offer both defensively with Intimidate and Rocks, as well as offensively with things like EQ and U-turn. Lastly, let's hold a moment of silence for yet again the drop of Garchomp. It has dropped down to UU once more, and this might be the final nail in its coffin to have it permanently be dropped down from OU, as threats are all lurking within the tier and are able to easily pick off Garchomp. May you yet again rest in peace, Garchomp. Anyways, I've covered a lot in what I thought were the significant tier changes. I'll have more videos anyways going more into depth in other things of aspects that are relating to the tiers, so be on the lookout for that. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts on the tier changes, as well as on my community post. You can see all the tier changes that has happened, so go check out that if you're curious. Thank you to my members for the continued support. If you wish to support me even further, the links to my YouTube membership and Patreon are down below. Comment down below the fireworks emoji, join the Chompy Discord, and until next time, thanks for watching as always.